What is going on, guys? They call me Ampy. Welcome to another video on the channel today. We are going to talk about the state of Call of Duty Ghosts here today. We have some gameplay coming from the live stream, and I have chosen to stream Call of Duty Ghosts over Advanced Warfare because that's just the game that I love playing. And I assume most of you guys, since you're watching, either like me or you just really like the game as well. And I wanted to talk about how much has changed since the game's release on November 5th, 2013. It's about a year and a half down the line. This is July of 2015. And I gotta say, the meta of the game hasn't really changed that much. This game has received a really bad stigma attached to it because of some problems, some differences between other Call of Duties. And I want to talk about if those differences still exist. Has anything changed since the game has been kind of off the radar since its release, and more people are moving on to Advanced Warfare and other games like that. So I want to give you guys an update on the game. Should you guys play it? Should you guys buy it? How many people are online? Things like that. So let's get right into this, shall we? I'm assuming most of you are interested in the number of players online. This is the PlayStation 4. During peak hours, the most people I've ever seen online was the high 7,000, so 7,800, even 7,900 on a good day. I'm talking peak hours from like 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. That's the most people I've seen online at any given time. I did play the game on Xbox One recently as well last week, and the numbers were actually a little bit lower. The numbers during peak hours were about 6,000 to 7,000 online, so it's interesting to see that there are more people playing Call of Duty Ghosts in 2015 on the PlayStation 4. I'm assuming that's because the MLG community is on Xbox One, and since the game was so poorly received in the eyes of the public, everybody on Xbox just doesn't want to play it anymore. But that's fine. There's enough people on both consoles to find some decent players online. Of course, TDM's going to have the most people online, with about 1,500, maxing out at about 2,000 in each playlist. And of course, going down the line, trickling down the other playlists, there's lesser and fewer people in each one. So you're going to have the most luck finding a game in TDM. I think it takes just as long as any other Call of Duty to find a game in TDM. It's not really a problem. There's still people in that playlist. As far as the so-called problems that made this game very unpopular in its release days, IEDs are still very relevant. People are still using them to camp in the same exact spots on the same exact maps. They usually do kill you in one hit, and people just constantly use them. Of course, you can use sitrep to counter them, but I just want to let you guys know that that is still in the game. And as far as the more competitive game modes are concerned, S&D, I have yet to see a bomb glitch. I've been playing on a new account. I'm halfway through my second prestige, and I've yet to see a bomb glitch anywhere. I didn't see any planting, diffusing, bomb glitches, anything like that. It kind of ruined the competitive community. I'm not even sure if they even patched it out when the game was on its way out, but as far as I'm concerned, the time that I've played so far, I've yet to see it. But it could very well be still in the game, so just be aware of that, guys. As far as weapons are concerned, I remember the MTAR received a huge nerf when the game was around, and the Vector got buffed. That is still pretty much the same. It didn't really change much. My most kills with the guns that I have unlocked are with the Vector. It's just the way it is. Suppressor, grip, or suppressor extended mags are the way to run it. It's just a killing machine, MTAR close behind, and the Ripper still to an extent. Even though it's a DLC weapon, it still has its value. So these weapons are still kind of the most dominant, with ARs being Honey Badger and the Remington. More so the Remington. I've seen this meta on Xbox and PlayStation back in the day, and most people I see running around are using these couple groups of weapons, which kind of sucks. The good thing about coming back to the game a year and a half after the fact is that there's not so much an emphasis on being as competitive, so people are more likely to experiment with newer guns, myself included, and I have found that the FAD is a very valuable assault rifle. The Maverick is a very valuable assault rifle, although it is DLC, but you guys can definitely succeed using these guns. It's not really that much of a tryhard fest anymore. You guys can use whatever guns you want, you can run around with whatever gun you want, and you can still compete. The tryhards have really much left Call of Duty Ghosts. I'm not saying everybody has completely left the game. There are still people that go hard in the paint, but from what I've experienced, I could pull out an FAD, I could pull out a Vepr like you see in this gameplay, and I could go off on the main stage. And you know what? That's freaking beautiful. I think every Call of Duty should have guns that actually do some work. People should not be afraid to experiment with other guns, because just because the pros don't use them, they're not the best, doesn't mean that you can't use them for yourself and succeed. If we're looking at perks, I see the same meta as I did when the game first came out. It's pretty much the same. All the submachine gun users are going to use the perks that allow them to rush, sleight of hand, agility, marathon, things like that. The AR users, definitely emphasis on stalker, and to an extent most classes keep telling me, use focus. Focus is very important, and now actually I see everybody running focus, so less flinch while shooting is great. I didn't see it as much as I used to, and another perk I didn't see as much as I used to is actually Amplify. Most people still use Dead Silence, but Amplify is definitely taken out of the mix. Again, it goes hand in hand with the whole not as competitive anymore thing. I have an Astro A40 headset. I used to use Amplify like it was my job when the game first came out. All the pros were using it. Footsteps were like someone knocking on your front door. Now it's not necessary, or as necessary I should say, to be using a perk like that because again, the tryhards aren't here anymore. For the most part they've gone and went their own separate ways. You could substitute that Amplify perk with something like Scavenger. That would definitely help your fancy a little bit more in this situation. You don't have to put these perks on because it gives you a little bit more freedom and the variety to choose what you want to do now. It works the same way as the guns, and I think it's absolutely awesome. It's a different way to play the game, coming back a year and a half after the fact. Just some last minute wrap-ups. You got the snipers still thermal scoping in drop zone. You got the M27 thermal still camping across the map. That stuff really hasn't changed. There's a weird emphasis on gun game. I don't know what it is. There's probably, after TDM, there's probably the most people in gun game for some reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just Call of Duty Ghosts had a really good gun game mode. But other than that, the one thing I noticed is that there are still people buying the game. Not every single person I jump into a lobby with is 10th Prestige. I see a bunch of new people that haven't even prestige one time, and I think it's just because the game is so cheap now, and there's still a number of players online. You guys could still tickle your Call of Duty Ghosts fancy and enjoy the game for what it is. I'd really recommend go picking it up. Please like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Ampy. I will see you guys in Call of Duty Ghosts.